Good afternoon and welcome to BeeTv News on the hour. I am Evelyn Izibili and now to the news in details. The Executive Chairman of Eagle Local Government Council, Honorable Osara Osa Eribo, has summoned the Managing Director, Moyi Line Transport Company, and the General Manager, Mocha Foam Limited, over incessant violations and obstruction of traffic on Uselu Lagos Road. Several buses and trucks from both companies have been parked on the main road, hindering the free movement for other road users and causing severe traffic congestion in the area. BeeTv News' Favor Kolawole has details.
The summon is in connection with the incessant violation and obstruction of major road traffic on Uselu service lane by Moyi Transport Company and Moko Foam Company, with several buses and trucks parked on the major road, preventing road users from driving freely, therefore causing traffic jam within the locality. Upon his arrival at the scene of traffic offence, the Ego Local Government Council boss, Honorable Osaro Eribo, accompanied by some council officials, expressed displeasure over the situation and warned the two offenders to refrain from obstructing the road, which he said has been causing traffic jam almost daily. He stresses that the government will no longer tolerate any form of traffic offences by motorists or transport company owners. He therefore called on both Moyi Line Transport Company and Moko Foam Limited to report to the council secretariat for an immediate summon.
This place part of tell your manager or the MD of the office to see.
The council board further warned other road users that any person or vehicle who engage in obstructing traffic or disrupt road movements will face strict government sanction and consequences.
We will not tolerate this kind of unnecessary talking that you are doing. And I want myself to count all the numbers of people that have been parked along the government road. You understand? You are going to pay dearly for it. Tell your
Diego Council boss assured residents that his administration is committed to ensuring smooth traffic flow and maintaining order on all major roads within the council area. Favor Kolawole reporting for BeeTv News.
The Trump administration is warning federal workers furloughed in the government shutdown that they may not get back pay once the funding impasse ends, with some lawmakers decrying as illegal. A memo prepared by the Office of Management and Budgets says the 2019 law signed by President Donald Trump guaranteeing retroactive pay after the shutdown did not apply to employees who have not temporarily asked not to report to work. BeeTv News' Timmy Tokwe Oluwafemi has details.
On Tuesday, Trump told reporters that back pay depends on who we are talking about and that some workers don't deserve to be taken care of. About 750,000 employees are currently foregoing their regular pay as the shutdown nears the end of the first week. The top Democrat in the U.S. House of Representatives, Hakeem Jeffries, agreed to Trump's interpretation. The law is clear. Every single furloughed federal employee is entitled to back pay, period, he said on Tuesday. The memo was prepared last week but was first reported by U.S. media on Tuesday. In it, the OMB said that once the shutdown ended, the government was required to pay employees who were deemed essential, such as air traffic controllers, and had been required to show up to work. But it said the government didn't have a duty to retroactively pay those who were furloughed, essentially sent home with no pay. A 2019 law passed by Congress and signed by Trump during his first term requires employees of the federal government or a District of Columbia public employer who are furloughed or required to work during a lapse in appropriations beginning on or after December 22, 2018 to be compensated for the period of the lapse. The law was passed after the last major shutdown, which lasted more than a month. The current shutdown began on October 1st. Republicans and Democrats in the Senate are currently locked in a standoff, each putting forward resolutions for reopening the government that have failed in multiple rounds of voting. Democrats want any resolution to address health care, while Republicans want clean legislation that only deals with federal budgets. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson told a news conference on Tuesday that he had not yet spoken to the White House about back pay, but new legal analysis was challenging the requirement to retroactively pay furloughed employees. It's true that in previous shutdowns, many or most of them have been paid for the time they were furloughed, he said. There are some legal analysts who are saying that it may not be appropriate or necessary. If that analysis turned out to be valid, he added, then it would put pressure on Democrats to join Republicans and pass their resolution to reopen the government. Congressional records showed Johnson voted for the 2019 law. The OMB memo was roundly criticized by Democratic lawmakers. This is totally illegal, Senator Mark Warner of Virginia said. He called the memo another illegitimate attempt by OMB Director Roosevelt to traumatize federal workers, which seemed to be what gets him out of bed in the morning. Some Republicans also seemed too skeptical of Trump's approach. South Dakota John Thune, the top Republican in the Senate, said he expected furloughed workers to be paid. Another Republican North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis said it was a strategic mistake to let furloughed workers know or let them think that they could potentially not get back pay. Temitope Oluwafemi reporting for BeeTv News.
A paramotor attack on a festival and protest in central Yama has killed at least 24 people and wounded 47 others. A spokesperson from the Exile National Unity Government has confirmed. Around 100 people have gathered at Chuangyu Township on Monday evening for the national holiday with Buddhist roots when a motor-powered paraglider dropped 2 bombs over the crowd, the reports. A local official under the Anti-Junta People Defense Force said that the event was also a candlelight vigil protesting junta policies. Yama has begun at civil war since its military seized power in the 2021 coup. The UN estimates that the conflict has killed more than 5,000 civilians. The People Defense Force official told BBC Burmese that during the gathering on Monday, they received information about a potential airborne attack and tried to quickly wrap up the protests, but the paramotors reached the scene earlier than they expected, the eyewitness said. They arrived and dropped the bomb within just 7 minutes. When the first bomb dropped, I fell to the ground, but it hit the lower part of his knee. There were people killed beside him. Locals told newsmen that the destruction caused by the bomb made it hard to identify the dead bodies. Children were completely torn apart. Another woman who had just helped to organize the event told journalists she was not at the scene but attended funerals on Tuesday and added that they were still collecting body parts from the ground. In a statement on Tuesday, Amnesty International said that the junta used a motorized paragliders to attack communities was part of a disturbing trend in the area. It was recently reported that the junta was increasingly opting for paramotors amid a lack of aircraft and helicopters. International sanctions over the past few years have made it harder for the junta to procure military equipment. Leo Freeman, Amnesty International Yama's researcher, said the attack should serve as a gruesome wake-up call that civilians in Myanmar need urgent protection. He also called on ASEAN, the Southeast Asian regional bloc, due to convene later this month to increase pressure on the junta and revise an approach that has failed the Myanmar people for almost 5 years. At the candlelight vigil, people protested at junta military conscription and the upcoming election while advocating for the release of Aung San Suu Kyi and political prisoners. Myanmar is slated to begin its general election in December, the first vote since the junta seized power in 2021. Critics, however, say the election will not be free and fair, but will instead allow the junta to continue yielding unchecked power in the country. Evelyn Isabella reporting for BeeTv News. Attorney General Pambodi faced intense questioning from Democratic lawmakers on Capitol Hill over several controversial administration's decisions, including the government's deployments of troops to Democratic-led cities and recent executive legal actions. Her testimony was described as fair-see and highly unusual for an oversight hearing. A heated exchange occurred between Bondi and Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois, who challenged the transfer of Texas National Guard units to Illinois. Bondi fired back, accusing Durbin of voting to shut down the government and insisting that President Trump would protect Chicago citizens if local leaders failed to do so.
Home keep the $50,000.
As Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche recently stated, the investigation of Mr.
Never mind.
Holman
I can see I'm not going to get a straight answer from you.
How does firing a 20-year national security prosecutor enhance public safety?
Senator Klobuchar, I'm not going to discuss personnel decisions, but the personnel issue that I'm having right now is that all of my agents, all of my lawyers are working. My agents are on the street working without a paycheck because your party voted to shut down the federal government.
Bundy also refused to comment on the indictment of former FBI Director James Comey, calling it a pending case. I remarked that Comey was indicted by one of the most liberal grand juries in the country, drew sharp criticism from legal experts who clarified that the Eastern District of Virginia is known for swift prosecution, not liberal bias.
I'm not going to discuss anything about that with you, Senator.
There's been public reporting that Jeffrey Epstein showed people photos of President Trump with half-naked young women. Do you know if the FBI found those photographs in their search of Jeffrey Epstein's safe or premises or otherwise? Have you seen any such thing?
You know, Senator Whitehouse, you sit here and make salacious remarks, once again trying to slander President Trump left and right.
She further declined to discuss the dismissal of the U.S. Attorney Eric Sirbet and justified Caribbean military strikes tied to alleged drug trafficking. Analysts have since called for deeper congressional oversight, warning of blurred lines between law enforcement and political influence. Evelyn Isabella reporting for BeeTv News. Services, memorial, and a minute silence were held across Israel to mark 2 years since the deadly Hamas attack of October 7, 2023. The commemoration took place in several cities, including Tel Aviv and the Nova Music Festival sites in Riyadh, where hundreds of young people lost their lives. The event honored the more than 1,200 people killed and 251 taken hostage during the assault that shocked the world and ignited the ongoing war in Gaza.
I tell you, it's amazing. You're going to have peace, if you think about it, peace in the Middle East for the first time in, they say, really 3,000 years.
Across Israel, scenes of remembrance were deeply emotional. Families of the victims, survivors, and security officials gathered at various locations, lighting candles and laying wreaths to pay tributes to those lost. At Kibbutz Bari, near the Gaza border, one of the hardest hit communities, residents mourned 102 lives lost, with many homes still burnt and ransacked 2 years on. Former hostages, including Ahad Ben Ami, who spent 16 months in captivity, speaks of reliving the horrors daily, saying he still feels like a hostage in his mind. Around the world, solidarity events were also held in major cities. Leaders including UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer used the moment to call for unity against hatred and unconditional release of all remaining hostages and increase humanitarian aid to Gaza. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres echoed the call for a permanent ceasefire, urging both sides to choose peace and rebuild trust after 2 years of devastating loss. In Gaza, the suffering remains overwhelming. According to the Hamas-run health ministry, over 67,000 people, mostly civilians, have died since Israel's retaliatory air and ground campaign began. The United Nations reports that most of Gaza's 2.3 million people have been displaced, many facing famine and widespread diseases. At a makeshift grave, Enam Al-Wahidi prays daily for her son Jihad, who died after an airstrike last year, a heartbreaking reminder of deep pain on both sides of the conflict. As indirect talks between Hamas and Israel resumes in Egypt, hopes remain fragile but alive. Many believe that peace and closure for both Israelis and Palestinians can only come when all hostages are returned and a long-term ceasefire finally takes hold. Zainab Mohammed reporting for BeeTv News.
British police has dismantled a major smuggling ring accused of sending as many as 40,000 stolen mobile phones from the UK to China. In London, phone thefts have tripled over the past 4 years, now making up the bulk of device thefts nationwide.
The crackdown began after officers intercepted stolen phones at a warehouse near Heathrow, where they discovered hundreds more hidden in crates. The trail led to 2 Afghan suspects who are now charged with conspiring to receive stolen goods.
So what we're doing this morning is try and disrupt these networks and bring these perpetrators to justice.
Across London, raids hit multiple properties, resulting in 15 arrests. One Bulgarian national was linked to pickpocket rings in central London. Officers recovered dozens of phones, tablets and electronics suspected of being stolen.
Peru rider, gloves on, they had a balaclava on as well as a mask.
Authorities say most of the recovered devices were destined for export to China, where they could fetch up to €4,000 apiece by avoiding detection and censorship systems. Temitope Oluwafemi reporting for BeeTv News.
President Bola Tinubu has accepted the resignation of Jeffrey Uche Nnaji from his position as Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology amid allegation of certificate forgery. Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, stated that the minister tendered his resignation in a letter expressing gratitude to President Bola Tinubu for the opportunity to serve Nigeria. The Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology has come under public scrutiny following allegations that Uche Nnaji did not complete his university education and submitted forged certificates during the vetting process for his appointment. Despite the controversy, Nnaji maintains that he is a victim of the smear campaign orchestrated by political opponents. After a decade of leading Nigerians' electoral processes through significant reforms and digital advancements, Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), Professor Mahmood Yakubu, announced his resignation yesterday. Yakubu, who has served as INEC chairman since 2015, formally stepped down during the Commission's quarterly meeting with resident electoral commissioners in Abuja, stating that it would be his final session in the role.
Yakubu, who has led the commission since 2015, officially stepped down during INEC's quarterly meeting with resident electoral commissioners (RECs) in Abuja, describing it as his final session as chairman. Citing Section 306 of the 1999 Constitution, he explained that his resignation was intended to ensure a smooth transition as the commission prepares for a packed electoral calendar. Following a consensus among the national commissioners, Ms. May Agbamuche Mbu, the most senior commissioner, has assumed the role in an acting capacity pending the appointment of a substantive chairman.
And to appreciate the Honorable former Chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, for giving me the opportunity to serve as acting chairman of INEC. I'm deeply humbled and honored. We assure you that the Commission will do our very best to maintain and uphold the standards you have set. We will continue from where you stopped. We acknowledge the significant contributions and achievements made by Professor Mahmood Yakubu.
In his farewell remarks, Yakubu reflected on his 10-year stewardship, pointing to INEC's digital transformation from biometric voter registration and electronic result transmission to online nomination and monitoring system. Together, we built a foundation for credible election in Africa's largest democracy, he declared. He acknowledged support from political parties, the National Peace Committee, civil society, security agencies, the media, and especially core members of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, whom he described as the most patriotic election officials. Meanwhile, Bola Tinubu also yesterday bestowed on the outgoing chairman of the INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, the honor of Commander of the Order of the Niger Con. He also hailed Professor Yakubu's departure as the INEC chairman following the expiration of his second term in office. Yakubu was first appointed in November 2015 as the 14th chairman of the commission for an initial term of 5 years, after which it was renewed in 2020. A statement by the presidential spokesman Bayo Onanuga said Tinubu thanked Professor Yakubu for his services to the nation and his effort to sustain Nigeria's democracy, particularly through the organization of free and fair elections throughout his two-term tenure. In recognition of Yakubu's dedicated service to the nation, President Tinubu has bestowed on him the honor of Commander of the Order of the Niger, CON. According to the statement, President Tinubu also directed that Professor Yakubu hand over to the most senior National Commissioner, May Agbamuche Mbu, who will direct the affairs of the Commission until the completion of the process to appoint a successor. In the letter dated October 3, 2025, Professor Yakubu thanked the President for the opportunity to serve the nation as chairman of the Commission since 2015. Temitope Oluwafemi reporting for BeeTv News.
Reading from the business news, Dubai is set to host GTEX Global 2025, the world's largest technology and artificial intelligence expo, featuring over 6,800 enterprises and 2,000 startups from 180 countries. The event will bring together leading global technology firms and emerging innovators focusing on AI infrastructure and digital transformation. Legend BeeTv News Temitope Oluwafemi for details from the business world.
Key participating companies include Alibaba Cloud, AMD, AWS, Dell, G42, Google, HPE, Hawaii, IBM, Microsoft, Oracle, Salesforce, Siemens, and Snowflake. New participants include Cerebrals, Datadog, Mitsubishi, Qualcomm, Rita, ServiceNow, Tata Electronics, Telecom Italia, and Tentos Torrent. The expo covers critical sectors such as data centers, biotech, quantum computing, and robotics. Alongside GTEX, the startup showcase Expand North Star launch at Dubai Harbour, featuring 2,000 startups and over 1,200 investors with $1.1 trillion in assets under management. This year marks record international participation, with Brazil joining as a country partner with its largest ever tech delegation. Other new partners include Serbia and Pakistan. New national pavilions from Canada, Chile, Ecuador, Spain reflect border international representation. The 5-day event will also feature investments, announcements, cross-border partnerships, and discussions among business leaders and policymakers on scaling infrastructure, accelerating innovation, and building inclusive digital economics. Airpeace Limited has issued an official statement denying any association with a social media promotion claiming a 30% off Africa flight discount. The airline clarified that it is not running any such promo and labeled the circulation advertisement as fraudulent. According to the company, the advertisement requests the public to sign up to access the fake offer, which is not affiliated with Airpeace in any capacity. The airline urged the public to disregard the post and avoid interacting with its promoters. Airpeace also cautioned against booking tickets through unauthorized websites, specifically noting confusion over a misleading domain. The company emphasized that its only valid booking platform is its official website and advised passengers to verify all contact channels before making transactions. Passengers were reminded that the airline is not responsible for any losses incurred through the third-party website or unofficial communication channels. Access Bank awards 6.62 billion naira in customer rewards. Access Bank PLC has awarded over 6.62 billion naira to more than 30,947 customers through its Diamond Extra Reward scheme, marking 17 years of the customer loyalty program. At a regional draw held in Lagos, businessman Edwin Oraka won the star prize tagged Salary for Life, entitling him to 200,000 naira monthly for 15 years. During the 17th season, Access Bank will distribute 228.7 million naira to 12,073 customers through various reward categories, including monthly and regional draws, loyalty rewards, digital marketing training, and cluster draws. The program is monitored by regulatory bodies such as the Lagos State Lottery Regulation Commission and the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission to ensure compliance and transparency. Launched in July 2008, Diamond Extra aims to promote a saving culture and reward loyal customers nationwide. Despite challenges in the financial sector, the scheme continues to maintain its reputation as one of Nigeria's most consistent customer reward initiatives. Temitope Oluwafemi reporting for BeeTv News.
We'll take a short break and we'll be right back shortly. Please stay with us.
My people of Edo State, Development is not a miracle. It is the result of responsibility and action. You want good roads, quality hospitals, schools, jobs for our youth? Then you must understand this simple truth. Government cannot perform without your tax. Government will fix schools, build roads, light up communities if the people pay their tax. That's how governance works. It is not about politics. It is about progress. When you pay your tax, you are not helping the government. You are helping yourself. You are helping your family and your future. Don't wait to be chased. Do the right thing. Be part of building the new Edo State. Pay your tax with pride. Let us build Edo together. This message is brought to you by Edo State Internal Revenue Service, EIRS, administering revenue for service and development.
Welcome back from that short break. The U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and U.S. President Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner will join Gaza peace plan talks between Israeli and Hamas negotiators in Egypt this Wednesday. Their arrival comes as the second day of indirect talks on Tuesday ended without tangible results, a senior Palestinian official similar with the negotiations told newsmen. BeeTv News' Esohe Osemenge has details.
Trump struck a positive tone on Tuesday as Israel marked the second anniversary of the 7th October Hamas attacks, saying there is a possibility that they could have peace in the Middle East. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did not comment on the status of the talks, but told Israelis they were in fatal days of decision. In a post on X, Netanyahu added that Israel would continue to act to achieve its war aims, the return of all the kidnapped, the elimination of the Hamas regime, and the promise that Gaza will no longer pose a threat to Israel. Witkoff and Kushner were expected to depart the U.S. on Tuesday evening and arrive in Egypt on Wednesday, a source familiar with the talks told the BBC. Qatar's Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani, seen as a key mediator, will also join the talks, an official told the Reuters news agency. Al Thani's attendance was aimed at pushing forward the Gaza ceasefire plan and hostages release agreement, the official said. Qatar's foreign minister and the head of Turkish intelligence are expected to join him. A senior Palestinian official familiar with the negotiations told the BBC that an evening round of indirect talks on Tuesday began at 19:00 local time. The official said the morning session ended without tangible result amid disagreement over the proposed Israeli withdrawal maps from Gaza and other guarantees Hamas wants to ensure Israel does not resume fighting after the first phase of the deal. He added that the talks were tough and have yet to produce any real breakthrough, but noted the mediators were working hard to narrow the gaps between the two sides. Trump addressed concerns on Tuesday, telling reporters that we are going to do everything possible to make sure everybody adheres to the deal. Earlier, a Palestinian official said the negotiations were focused on 5 key issues: permanent ceasefire, the exchanges of the hostages still held by Hamas for Palestinian prisoners and detainees from Gaza, the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza, arrangement for humanitarian and deliveries, and post-war governance of the territory. Chief Hamas negotiator Khaliha Ayar, whom Israel targeted last month in a series of strikes on Qatar's capital, told Egyptian state-affiliated Al-Kahira News TV the group had come to engage in serious and responsible negotiations. Al-Ayar said Hamas was ready to reach a deal, but it needed guarantees that the war would end and not restart. Senior Hamas officials Fawaz Fawzi Marhum said the group's negotiations were working to remove all obstacles to an agreement that meets the aspiration of our people. Trump said the prospect for peace were something even beyond the Gaza situation, adding that we want the release of the hostages immediately. Speaking on the anniversary of the 7 October attacks, a single deathless day for Jews since the Holocaust, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres called on all parties to agree to Trump's peace plan, describing it as a historic opportunity to bring the strategic conflict to an end. Opinion polls now consistently show that around 70% of Israelis want the war to end in exchange for the release of the hostages. The Israeli military launched a campaign in Gaza in response to the Hamas-led attack on southern Israel on 7 October 2023, in which about 1,200 people were killed and 251 others were taken hostage. At least 67,160 have been killed by Israeli military operations in Gaza since then, including 18,000 children, according to the territory's Amazon Health Ministry. The figures are seen as reliable by the UN and other international borders. In August, the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, a UN-backed body, said that more than 500,000 people across Gaza were facing catastrophic conditions characterized by starvation, destitution, and death. Netanyahu has repeatedly denied starvation is taking place in Gaza. A United Nations Commission of Inquiry found Israel had committed genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. And Soher Osemeki reporting for BeeTv News.
The Palace of the Oba of Benin has maintained its position that Iyaloja concept is alien to the culture of Benin, and the palace also frowned at the use of trade association to run open markets and to play partisan politics, as the twin factors are inimical to the essence of market tradition in Benin culture. This was contained in a statement issued by the Benin Traditional Council on Tuesday evening. BeeTv News' Best Orator has details.
According to the statement signed by Chief Noense Ozigbo Esere, the Osuma of Benin, Chief Edionwe Oliha, the Oliha of Benin, Chief Osaro Ida, the Obazelu of Benin, Chief Ada Igbinovia, the Eibo of Benin, Chief Okwonra Edomadagno, the Ine of Benin, and Frank Irabo, Secretary Benin Traditional Council, which was released on Tuesday evening, 7th October 2025, says that the Iyaloja concept is alien to Benin Kingdom. He says in Benin culture, Iyeki emerges among the market women after being chosen by the market women. She is then brought to the palace for confirmation, and once confirmed, they are told to go and install her as the Iyeki of the market, a situation that is similar to the installation of Odionwe of a village that is also brought to the palace for confirmation before installation, maintaining that the palace never chose anyone as Iyeki, as it is the market women themselves that do that, adding that in the palace, every market is independent of each other. The statement noted that every Iyeki is culturally, spiritually, and religiously tied to the palace, as there is a direct functional relationship between Iyeki and the palace, and just as there is no honorary chieftaincy title in Benin culture, so also there is no honorary Iyeki title in Benin, saying that every Iyeki has a spiritual function she performs for the palace and for the well-being of the market, and strongly advised that the function of Iyeki should not be politicized, as any deviation from the age-old cultural system may lead to a breach of peace. The statement says it behoves the Benin Traditional Council to advise the state government to take cognizance of the issue and avoid breakdown of law and order. The palace says it has observed that for some time now, the markets have become a veritable tool in the hands of partisan politicians and unscrupulous individuals to express themselves for their personal gains. While the palace takes a deep view of such alien concept of Iyaloja being introduced into the market system of Edo State, it is also pertinent to point out that the palace has serious reservations about the tendency of market women allowing themselves to be used as a political pawns in the political fields under the aegis of market association in negative ways in the market, which has also contributed immensely to the rise in prices of foodstuffs, thereby seriously impacting on the efforts of Mr. President to bring food prices down. The palace appealed to market women and the politicians behind them to eschew dragging the sanctity of the name of the Oba into their partisan political affairs, using such words as the Oba word is final in the Iyaloja saga, and ask if the market women respected and observed that the Oba word is final in the previous administrations where they allowed themselves to be used as political pawns. The statement added that at that time, the then market leader, Madam Blackie Ogiame, was summoned to the palace and advised to eschew using the market women as political pawns at the time, and that she was advised that no administration needs to fear anything if they were satisfying the people with good governance, but she nevertheless continued to use the market women to do her personal bidding and that of the administration of the time, knowing how the administration treated the traditional institution in particular and the people in general in a very toxic manner. The palace also sought to know why Iyaloja is being introduced into Edo State as if such introduction is a national idea, and if that is the case, then it must extend to other states before the palace can believe its authenticity and motive. Also, the palace is also asking if a Edo woman can be made the Iyaloja of Lagos or of Nigeria, and if the concept of Iyaloja can be extended to Aba, Owerri, Kefi, Kaduna, Kano, Sokoto, and other parts of Nigeria. The palace commends the work of the governor of Edo State, Senator Monday Okpebholo, and the president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and appealed to them not to allow the shenanigans of market politics distract them from the divine work they have been elected to do for the people in general and Edo State in particular. Best Orator reporting for BeeTv News.
Reading from the entertainment news, Nigerian artist Omawumi Megbele has credited award-winning music producer Kobam Asuko with playing a pivotal role in the early stages of her music career. Following her participation in Idols West Africa, Omawumi collaborated with Cobhams on a music project that marked a significant turning point in her professional journey. Also, Offset denies affair with Sawiti, accepts responsibility for Cardi B marriage breakdown. Let's join the reports. The collaboration resulted in her first major endorsement deal, which lasted 2 years. The song, initially recorded without high expectations, was later picked up by a marketing agency and used in a commercial campaign. The exposure from the endorsement led to performance opportunities at 4 major concerts alongside the music group P Square. In addition to boosting her visibility, Cobhams provided Omawumi with mentorship that influenced her stage presence, vocal delivery, and emotional expression in performances. She described his inputs as instrumental in refining her artistry and setting the tone for her future success. The collaboration highlights the importance of mentorship and creative partnership in Nigeria's entertainment industry. In another development, Nollywood actress Annie Macaulay has indirectly reaffirmed her connection to the identity of African Queen, a title historically linked to her relationship with musician Tubaba, following a recent public declaration by the singer introducing his new partner, Natasha Osawaru, as the African Queen. The incident occurred during a club appearance in the UK where Tubaba publicly acknowledged Natasha as the love of his life. Shortly afterward, Annie shared a post on Instagram featuring a photo of her daughters alongside a throw pillow displaying her image and a phrase African Queen. The couple finalized their divorce in January 2025, after which Tubaba began a relationship with Natasha Osawaru, a lawmaker from Edo State. Reports suggest that the couple is expecting a child. Annie's subtle online activity appears to reference the legacy associated with a past relationship and long-lasting public image, particularly in connection with the iconic song African Queen, which was widely believed to be inspired by her. American rapper Offset has denied long-standing rumors of an extramarital relationship with fellow artist Sawiti. In a recent interview, he described the allegation as unfounded and clarified that there was no romantic involvement between them. Offset acknowledged that while the affair rumors were false, other personal missteps contributed to the breakdown of his nearly 7-year marriage with Grammy-winning rapper Cardi B. He admitted that his actions, particularly infidelity, were responsible for the deterioration of the relationship. Though the couple has separated, their divorce has not been yet finalized. Offset stated that he continues to hold respect for Cardi B and is currently focused on personal growth. In the same interview, Offset discussed his emotional and mental struggles following the death of his cousin and fellow Migos member Takeoff. He revealed that the tragedy led to a period of substance abuse, particularly codeine addiction. The rapper credited therapy and faith as key factors in his recovery process and affirmed his commitment to personal development and accountability. Evelyn Isabella reporting for BeeTv News. And lastly, on today's bulletin, Nigerian style bender Israel Adesanya will reportedly perform at the Afro Soul Festival in New Zealand. Adesanya will have a chance to connect with his Nigerian heritage in his hometown. He will feature with an Afrobeat star-studded lineup of iconics such as Burna Boy, Victoni, and Darko. The event, dubbed A Slice of Africa to New Zealand, reflects Adesanya's journey from his early days in Nigeria to rise as a global sports icon in New Zealand. The Afro Soul Festival 2025 will be a celebration of music, heritage, and the unexpected versatility of one of MMA's biggest stars. Adesanya will resume training, but it is unclear when he plans to return to the octagon. And that is the size of a news package for today. Many thanks for joining us on BeeTv Media News at 12. I am Evelyn Isibili. Thank you and good afternoon.
Religion.